What's going on, everybody? LK here, back at it again with another video, and it's the fourth video in the player series. So far we've done what? Goichi, mostly talk about his defense, right? Kaz and the team, Hook and his team, his signature shell. It's hard to say, right? Signature shell, whatever. So next, of course, logically would be SonicFox. That's right, SonicFox. So, like the previous three players I talked about, Sonic is also pretty unique. And just studying back too, so probably just despite like the names, I'm sure a lot of you are just here for like, oh man, I wonder what's cool about like this name I know from Dragon Ball. But like from this perspective of someone who like really is trying to figure out this game and trying to figure out the best way to play this game, one of the most interesting things to me is that so far too, every player I've talked about, and the next player for next week too is also in this group, they've had pretty different paths to their success, right? So Sonic, most people would just dump him in the, oh, he's super aggressive, and he just gets it and mixes you, right? Keeping it really simple. But it's not just that simple, honestly. So I think one thing about, maybe not Hook, but Goichi and Kaz, is that they really are also trying to solve the game. And in one way, you can't actually say that Kazunoko solved the game, at least for like 3 months, right? Now, I think Sonic is the extreme of playing the game for what it's meant to be, right? And if you look at his team, so another thing that kind of separates him from the previous three players, so like let's say Hook, right? We talked about Hook last week. When we talk about Hook, we generally are talking about this, right? It's Piccolo, boyfriend Vegeta, third, right? Some whatever order. Bardock on point, Cell on point, whatever, right? When we talk about Kaz, we're generally talking about this team, but like 60% this team, 40% Adult Gohan, Yamcha, right? When we talk about Goichi, we're generally talking about just the way he plays the game more than anything else, even more than like his actual teams. But Sonic actually has played many teams at high level. Many teams have been successful with many teams. So what's the sauce? Alright, let's hop into it. So if you look at one of his earliest teams, I'm not sure if this is the right order. One of his earliest teams. This is one of the earliest teams he's played at. So in the scope of today's game, it's not actually that bad of a team if you look at like what he was thinking about. The thing that really makes Sonic special is two main things. His team building is different from other people's, and the way he plays the game is maximum what the game wants to do. So let me explain. So he likes mix-ups, right? So he does pick aggressive characters. But the way he goes about doing this is usually like his concern is like when he gets in, he wants to make sure he gets the hit. Here's another one. This was the second team he played last year, right? Cell, Kid-Buu, Gotenks. This was Mix City. The neutral was not great, but when it touched you, gone. This is a pretty common thread of teams that he's played. It's Mix City. The neutral ranges from like meh to pretty good, depending on what he's running. This was the evil winning team here. So decent neutral, but at that time, it's Mix City, right? It's Mix City. But it's not even that simple. So let's go with... Okay. This is another kind of Mix City team. I think it's actually GTN, right? Let's get these guys in. So a lot of the confidence in these really offensive teams, because there are other people who play these teams, right? In various skill levels, right? Who follow, people, see what's successful, they try to do it. There are various people who have tried to play Sonic's teams, and one thing about his teams are that they're almost always pretty volatile, because the neutral is always ranges from like meh to okay. Just meh to kind of okay, right? But when he gets in, he's going to hit you. So one of the things that make him stand out is the ability that he is not volatile despite playing volatile teams, which is an important thing of the game. These type of teams, so this team is actually a little bit more stable, I would say, than some of his other teams. Stable meaning like the neutral's good, and when it gets in, it's good, and it does a lot of damage, etc., right? But if you compare it to, like, let's just put Zamasu in the middle. Oh, let's get Zamasu in here, and 16, so it's like when he was playing this, his Evo Wing team. So the neutral, like I said, was okay. It ranged from okay to good, depending on how you feel. But the stability was in the offense, and that games aren't volatile to him. Like, even though he has to like run to you, he can do it. He does it very consistently. I've seen him play many close range teams pretty well, and where in a case where, like, using myself as an example, I don't really like playing close range teams anymore because I struggle personally with the volatility, right? So when you have that, then you get in, run your turn. But this leads us to the other thing that's really, really good about him in this game especially, is that, like I said at the beginning of the video, players like Kaz, I think, like I said, especially Kaz, but also like Goichi and they are trying to solve the game, just outright solve the game. Because the game, as I've said in other videos, there are a lot of problems that the game presents to you that you have to solve. Like, how do you deal with this point-blank super dash? How do you deal with the tech system? What do you do when they don't have an assist, but it's like early in their pressure? How do you tech Dragon Rush, etc., 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 right? Now, the thing about Sonic is that he actually just embraces the system for what it is. So he's willing to like sit there and wait for your reflect. He's willing to gamble on techs. He's willing to chase one tech out of like 4 options. He's willing to do all those things because the return is really high when you do those things. And since he's good at reading you, he's good at reading players quickly, and his teams are so offensive that people get really scared of him. It all stacks and adds to his offense, pressure, and overall consistency in the game. Now, actually, the other thing I want to talk about too, so I think the third really, really impressive thing about him is, and let me get an example. What's the example team that he ran like this? I think he actually ran. I think. Definitely correct me if I'm wrong. This is like earlier this year. Something like this. So, he's also a player that's really willing to try just every character, especially if he sees potential, and he's willing to just do stuff that the character can do, right? Sounds weird, but like, for example, like, he's one of the people who did look at Trunks, right? Trunks is more of a nuanced character. You kind of need to know Arceus games to really, like, pull his potential to the max, but Sonic was able to see, 1, that his assist was really good, 2, that EX Flip is honestly a super strong mix-up tool if you set it up the right way. He will take all the tools the character has, no matter how weird or, like, most people will be like, oh, I'll save it for later, or it doesn't look that useful, or something. They'll just make up something about a move, and he will find a use for it quickly, even if it's not necessarily true. So this point is kind of what locks up anime players compared to like your NRS people. So if you, for example, Kibu, right? So Kibu, this is a nice easy example. Kibu doesn't have an airtight block string into this orb right here. He doesn't have one. He needs to use an assist to do that. So most people, you've seen this a million times. Okay, I messed it up, but you've seen it a million times. Sonic is willing to, not only just do it in your face, but he's willing to, 1, wait for you to whiff reflect if he thinks you're going to reflect to beat it, like most people do. Or he's willing to frame trap you if he thinks you're going to mash. He's willing to use the tool despite the risk attached to it when you don't have assists. That's not common amongst high-level players. It's something that is pretty unique just to him. So overall, I think it's those three things. One, his ability to just take everything a character can do and find some use for it. Two, him willing to play the game for what it is. So my perspective of the game is that the game wants you to guess a lot. The game wants you to read people hard. The game has a lot of like rock, paper, scissors guessing situations, and where most people will try to find like consistent solutions to it. He'll use those, but he's also willing to guess way more, and he's good at reading you, so he's going to get those hits. And finally, just his team building and offense are just honestly like a top level. So that's why, despite playing really volatile teams with maybe not so good neutrals sometimes, once he gets in, he's able to get the hit, score the hit, knock down, and kill really quickly because he's willing to play that type of game. Let me know if you have any comments, questions, whatever. I didn't take all the teams down that he's played because he played so many teams. I actually think he's played more teams than I have in this game, and I played like maybe 10 or 11 teams. Like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.